Villisca, Iowa, in 1912 was a town much like any other in the heartland of America. Nestled among rolling fields and endless skies, it was a place where the seasons shaped daily life and everyone seemed to know everyone else. The town's main street bustled with activity during the day. Shopkeepers sweeping their stoops, children darting between storefronts, and the steady clip-clop of horses pulling wagons down dusty roads. There was a sense of community here, a feeling that life was simple, honest, and safe. Days were filled with the rhythms of farm life, and nights were quiet, the silence broken only by the chirping of crickets. The sun would rise over golden fields, casting a warm glow on barns and farmhouses, and families would begin their chores, milking cows, tending gardens, and gathering eggs. The air was fresh, tinged with the scent of earth and hay, and the promise of another peaceful day. In the evenings, neighbors gathered on front porches to share stories and laughter, their voices carrying through the still air. Doors were left unlocked, a sign of trust and the belief that nothing bad could ever happen here. The pace of life was slow and, well, pretty predictable. People took comfort in routine, in the familiar faces and the gentle passage of time. It was a place where children could play freely, running barefoot through grassy yards and chasing fireflies as dusk settled in. Families felt safe and secure, confident that their loved ones would return home each night. The sense of belonging was strong, and the bonds between neighbors ran deep. The very idea of violence, let alone murder, seemed impossible in such an idyllic setting. The streets were lined with picket fences and blooming gardens, and the biggest worries were the weather or a poor harvest. People believed that Villisca was a safe haven, untouched by the troubles of the outside world. But beneath the surface of any place, no matter how peaceful, darkness can sometimes lurk, waiting for the right moment to emerge. In Villisca, that moment was drawing near. Soon, the town's innocence would be shattered by an unimaginable act, forever changing its identity and casting a long, chilling shadow over its future. The people of Villisca would never look at their quiet streets or their neighbors the same way again. The Moore family, newcomers to the small, close-knit town of Villisca, Iowa, had quickly become a beloved part of the community. Their home, a modest white house perched at the edge of town, stood as a symbol of the American dream, humble, welcoming, and filled with the warmth of family life. The house itself, with its creaking wooden floors and sunlit porch, was a gathering place for neighbors and friends, a place where laughter and kindness seemed to linger in the air. Josiah Moore, known to everyone as Joe, was a respected businessman whose reputation for honesty and hard work preceded him. He and his wife Sarah were not only partners in marriage but also in their commitment to the community. Both were active members of the local Presbyterian church, attending services every Sunday and participating in church events that brought the townspeople together. Their faith was a guiding force in their lives, shaping their values and their relationships with others. The Moore family was often seen together, whether walking to church in their Sunday best, or enjoying simple pleasures like picnics in the yard. Their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, were the embodiment of innocence and joy. The children's laughter was a familiar melody in the neighborhood, a sound that brought smiles to the faces of all who heard it. They played games in the dusty streets, chased each other through the fields, and shared secrets beneath the shade of the old oak tree in their yard. The Moore children were not only siblings but best friends, their bond strengthened by the small-town environment where everyone knew each other. Their home was often filled with the chatter of visiting friends, and Sarah was known for welcoming neighborhood children with a plate of cookies or a comforting word. The family's generosity and warmth made them a cornerstone of the community, and their presence was felt at every town gathering, from church socials to school events. Yet, beneath the surface of this idyllic existence, no one could have imagined the darkness that was about to descend. The Moore family, so ordinary in their joys and struggles, so unremarkable in their daily routines, would soon find themselves at the heart of a tragedy that would forever alter the course of Villisca's history. The quiet streets and gentle rhythms of small-town life would be shattered in a single, unimaginable night. The events of June 9, 1912, would transform Villisca from a place of peace and tranquility to a byword for horror. The town's name, once associated with friendly faces and quiet evenings, would become forever linked to the brutal axe murders that took place within the walls of the Moore family home. Headlines across the nation would soon scream of the unspeakable crime, and the world would look upon Villisca with a mixture of shock, fear, and morbid curiosity. The story of the Villisca Axe murders is not just a true crime story, it is a haunting reminder that evil can find its way into even the most unsuspecting corners of the world. The scars left behind by that night have never fully healed. For generations, the people of Villisca have lived in the shadow of the tragedy, their town forever marked by the events that unfolded in the Moore home. The echoes of that night linger still, a chilling testament to the fragility of peace and the unpredictability of fate. Josiah and Sarah Moore were more than just victims, they were pillars of the Villisca community. Joe's business acumen and Sarah's gentle spirit made them respected and loved by all who knew them. They were the kind of people who would lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need, who would open their home to friends and strangers alike. Their loss was not just a personal tragedy but a blow to the entire town. Josiah's farm implement store was a hub of activity, a place where farmers gathered to discuss crops and weather, and where Joe's advice was sought and valued. His success was built on trust and hard work, and he took pride in providing for his family. The store was more than a business, it was a reflection of Joe's character and his commitment to the community's well-being. Sarah, meanwhile, was the heart of the Moore household. Her days were filled with the tasks of motherhood, cooking, cleaning, caring for her children. But she always found time for others. She was known for her kindness, her gentle smile, and her unwavering faith. At church, she led Sunday school classes and organized charity drives, always seeking to help those less fortunate. Their children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, were the light of their lives. Each child brought their own unique energy and personality to the family. The Moore home was filled with the sounds of laughter, the patter of little feet, and the endless curiosity of youth. The children's days were spent exploring the world around them, their imaginations turning the simplest moments into grand adventures. Herman, the eldest at 11, was a responsible and caring older brother. He looked after his younger siblings with a maturity beyond his years, helping his parents with chores and setting an example for the others. His teachers spoke highly of his intelligence and his willingness to help classmates, and he was known for his quiet strength and gentle nature. Catherine, a bright and cheerful girl of 10, was adored by her younger brothers, 7-year-old Boyd and 5-year-old Paul. She was imaginative and kind, always ready with a story or a game to entertain her siblings. Her laughter was infectious, and her presence brought joy to everyone around her. Boyd and Paul, the youngest, were full of energy and curiosity, their days a whirlwind of play and discovery. The Moore children were inseparable, their laughter echoing through the house and the neighborhood, their lives a testament to the simple joys of childhood. They were the heart of their family, and their innocence made the tragedy that would befall them all the more heartbreaking. In the days before the crime, no one could have imagined that such happiness could be so suddenly and violently taken away. As the sun set on Villisca that fateful June evening, the Moore family went about their nightly routines, unaware that their lives, and the life of their town, were about to change forever. The story of the Moores is a poignant reminder of the fragility of happiness, and of how, in the blink of an eye, lives can become unknowingly intertwined with history in the most tragic of ways. The evening of June 9, 1912 began like any other in Villisca, a quiet farming community nestled in the heart of Iowa. The sun dipped low over the horizon, casting a warm golden glow across the tidy streets and whitewashed homes. Neighbors greeted each other as they finished their daily chores, and the gentle hum of summer insects filled the air. It was a peaceful Sunday, the kind that seemed to promise nothing but comfort and routine. That evening, the Moore family, Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, prepared for a special occasion. Alongside them were Lena and Ina Stillinger, 2 sisters who had been invited to spend the night. Together they attended the annual Children's Day service at the Presbyterian Church, a much-anticipated event in the town's social calendar. The church, bathed in the soft light of sunset, was alive with the sound of hymns and the laughter of children dressed in their Sunday best. Parents exchanged smiles and stories, proud to see their children take part in the festivities. After the service, the children spilled out onto the church steps, their faces flushed with excitement. They walked home together, their laughter echoing in the warm twilight, skipping along the familiar path that wound through the heart of Villisca. Josiah and Sarah Moore lingered behind, chatting with fellow parishioners, sharing news and pleasantries as the evening deepened. The sense of community was strong, and no one suspected that anything was amiss. Around 7 o'clock, neighbors watched as the group of children made their way toward the Moore house, their small figures silhouetted against the fading light of the summer evening. The air was thick with the scent of cut grass and blooming flowers, and the gentle clatter of cicadas signaled the end of another day. To the townsfolk, it was an ordinary scene, children returning home safe and sound to the embrace of family. Inside the Moore home, the children settled in for the night, eager for games, whispered secrets, and the simple joys of childhood sleepovers. The glow of lamplight flickered across their faces as they played and told stories, unaware of the darkness gathering outside. For them, it was a night filled with laughter and companionship, a memory in the making. But as the town of Villisca drifted off to sleep, an unimaginable evil crept closer, poised to shatter the peace and innocence of that summer night forever. The morning of June 10, 1912, dawned bright and clear in Villisca, but the idyllic facade of the small Iowa town was about to be shattered. Mary Peckham, a neighbor of the Moore family, noticed that the house was unusually still. The children, normally up early and full of life, were nowhere to be seen, and there was no sign of activity from Josiah or Sarah Moore. Concerned, Mary approached the house and knocked on the door, but there was no response. She tried the doorknob and to her surprise it turned, revealing that the door was unlocked. A sense of unease crept into her heart as she stepped across the threshold and into the silent house. The discovery of the Villisca Axe murder sent shockwaves through the small town and across the nation. Law enforcement, ill-equipped to handle such a horrific crime, descended upon the Moore house, their investigation hampered by a lack of forensic technology and the overwhelming nature of the crime scene. The brutality of the murders, coupled with the lack of any clear motive, only deepened the mystery. Rumors and speculation ran rampant through Villisca as neighbors, friends, and even strangers grappled with the incomprehensible act that had shattered the peace of their community. In the aftermath of the murders, the Moore house stood empty, a grim reminder of the horror that had unfolded within its walls. No one wanted to live in the house where 8 innocent lives had been brutally cut short. The property changed hands several times over the years, each new owner hoping to erase the stain of the murders and restore the house to its former normalcy. But the house, it seemed, had other plans. Whispers of strange occurrences began to circulate, tales of unexplained noises, cold spots, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures. The legend of the Villisca Axe Murder House was beginning to take shape.